Start. So really warm welcome to this introduction session to my 12-week Back to Sex course, which will start on the 27th of April. And so just let me orient you a little bit. So in a moment, I'm going to offer a little exercise for us to just drop into the body, into the present moment. And then I'll speak a bit about what the course is about, show some slides, and also offer you a little exercise. So if you have pen and paper later. And then there's space for questions, some Q&A time. And yeah, so we have time till about quarter past 8. So back to sex. What's all this about? So I believe that sexuality is really our divine birthright. And that's why I feel so passionate about this work. I feel it's like a beautiful, powerful life force energy that's like an underground river flowing through our life, just like creativity. And we get to tap into that. And yet I also know a lot of things can happen in life that can block that flow, and places where we can get disconnected from our sensuality, our sexuality, and from eros. And I guess I feel so passionate about this work because of my own journey. And my own journey included trauma, and for a long time in my life I felt quite disconnected from my body and had a long journey with that, and also found myself in a long-term monogamous, non-sexual pretty much relationship. And then about 10 years ago I embarked on this powerful journey that I call a journey of reclamation, to really bring back and reconnect, and with some things connect for the first time with my sensuality and sexuality, through different things like coaching, going to workshops, and then also training and Barbara Corralis's urban tantra training. And then I went on to train as a somatic sex educator and sexological body worker. So there's so many reasons why we can get disconnected from our sexuality. Could be to do with trauma, with body shame, with myth that we're holding about our bodies, about how sexuality should look like, but also changes in our bodies, illness, things like breakup, bereavements. All of that can have an impact on sexuality. So in this course, we're gonna look at sexuality in many different ways and address this, how we can come back to eros, to our sexuality. So I'm going to show you some slides just to have that in the background. So in my practice, which I call Back to Sex, I work with women, non-binary and genderqueer folks to help reignite sexuality and overcome obstacles to pleasure and intimacy. So I want to share a little bit, and that's kind of the pillars of the work that's going to happen in the Back to Sex course. Embodiment, education, pleasure, empowerment, and energy. And I always say, in Back to Sex, it starts with you. So it's not so much focused on what happens in partnership or in, sex that you might have with other people, but this is really about tapping into your own journey, your own sensuality, finding out, yeah, what turns you on. And of course, that can be taken back to explorations with others. So for me, the foundation of this is and has been in my journey this recovering a sense of hope, power, and safety. Many folks feel when they face challenges around sexuality that something is broken. I certainly have felt this in my life. Sometimes I felt so isolated and alone. I felt like a freak when I couldn't shift things. And I really believe nobody's broken. There's always a way forward, always a way to explore and finding a way back to our sexuality because it's our birthright. And so, at the foundation, also is our relationship with our bodies. So, Mary Oliver, the beautiful poet, she says, let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. And I love it's just a line from her poem, but even that already does something to the body, I feel. And I'm realizing I launched straight into the talk. And what I said we didn't do. So I invite us for a moment um, to drop into the body on that note. Would you be up for that? Yeah. And apologies for that. So, yeah. So let's take a few moments, if you like. Put your hands somewhere on the body that feels maybe comfortable, comforting, or a place that feels at least neutral. And the idea here is that this can become a resource for you. It can be a place as we explore things, you can always come back to. And as we mentioned, this line, the soft animal of the body, maybe just take a few breaths. You can have your eyes open or closed and feel into this beautiful body. What is moving? Maybe sense this gravity that holds us and supports us. We're not floating in space, we're held. We're supported by the earth. Always holds and supports us. And if you're leaning into something, just a moment, lean back and lean in. Imagine the length of your spine, the breadth of it. Notice the energy in your body, ever is moving, knowing that's all welcome. Back to sex, we cultivate a culture of noticing, not judging, of curiosity. And then maybe notice if there are any places where you feel a little tension. Just move through your body, maybe across your neck, jaw. You might want to give yourself something, whatever that might be for this last minute. Maybe it's a stroking, squeezing. Maybe there's something to shake out. Hmm. Maybe it's just holding part of the body, whatever that is. Hmm. So letting the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Yeah, so embodiment, it's really the foundation. Without the body, we don't do anything. We don't go anywhere. Everything we ever experienced, we do through our bodies. I love to see the body as an archive of our stories. It's a sacred vessel, a temple, portal, and a gateway. It's a seed of pleasure and pain, keeps our wisdom. And as Bessel van der Kolk, a writer, says, the body does keep the score. So, what can get in the way of us feeling embodied, feeling in our skin, feeling in our body? I think there are a lot of societal pressures on appearance, how we ought to look, body shaming that can lead to, yeah, body consciousness, fat phobia, feeling sexualized, of course, illness and physical challenges, body dysphoria, changes in the body over time, maybe through menopause, changes in genitals, and trauma, which can lead to disassociation. So, here we really want to challenge unrealistic standards and pressures and body shaming and celebrate body diversity. So, I see this journey as a journey to body love. And the powerful thing is, we do this in community and we do it at a gentle pace with doable changes. So, the second pillar is empowerment, right? So, you get to feel throughout the course the sense of sex really is your birthright, sensuality, sexuality. And you get to self define what sex is for you, to give yourself permission to challenge myths and to take charge of your pleasure and take action. And of course, things can get in the way there too, self doubt, all stories we might hold, feeling undeserving or broken, codependent pattern, unhealed attachment wounds or sexual trauma, boundaries, not quite knowing enough about consent. So we can actually fully be in consent with ourselves. So those are all things we're going to work with and address in the 12-week program. Another big area is that of permission. I feel everything starts with permission. The permission to start, to start on such a journey and to prioritize this journey back to sex. To give ourselves permission to step up self-care and self-love, to forgive ourselves, to let go of pressure and get open to more pleasure and invite playfulness. And all of those things I can say, hey, you have total permission here, but the invitation always is for yourself, you to give yourself permission. And then, of course, education. I don't know about you, in terms of sex ed, so few people have had good sex ed. And really, in the area of sex, particularly, knowledge is power. So, one of the things here running through the 12 weeks is about education, really getting educated about sex, about the body, about the nervous system, about arousal, what happens, genitals. Yeah. And getting to know yourself. What are your desires? What can get in the way here, of course, is shame, thinking we should know, we're not asking, or we have a lack of resources. We don't quite know where to go. We might find shy or isolated. And that's part of why I love working in groups, because we create such a beautiful cauldron of knowledge. So, energy is another area. So, here we cultivate aliveness, the space for you to give your dreams and visions energy. We bring in breath work, and it's a place where you can start really taking charge of your needs. And we work with this formula to find desires, bring in vision, and adding energy and embodiment, which really, yeah, I have found gets us results. Back to sex, we focus on pleasure here, really important. And we begin with where you're at with pleasure. So it's about expanding pleasure and expanding that capacity in our systems, in our nervous system, to hold pleasure. Because you might know this, I've certainly experienced that sometimes I haven't felt I could hold so much pleasure. And so this is part of the journey to really, yeah, expand that capacity. So some of the tools we work with in this 12-week journey, there will be educational talks, breath work, we'll be working with writing, sharing in groups and in pairs. Of course, a lot of embodiment and somatic of the body exercises, movement, creative tools. And we'll work with one thing that's really dear to my heart, which is erotic archetypes as well. You can set up accountability with a body. Of course, there's self-inquiry and studying, going deeper if you want to. There's always home play suggestions and things to read. So breath work, the really important part of this work. Understanding our nervous system. So this is something that will run through the 12 weeks. It's so important because the foundation will be to create safety in your system and your body. So we'll always begin with resourcing, grounding, self-regulating, and co-regulating in this group. Self-inquiry, listening, deep listening to the body. Again, this is something we'll take through the sessions. My dear friend and colleague Sarah Ablinger will come in for a session and speak on body positivity, self-love, body love. She's based in Vienna. She's a beautiful body worker and pleasure activist. And of course, when we reclaim eros, one of the important areas is also cultivating a self-pleasure practice, however that looks like. You know, that might not include genitals, but it's about cultivating this sense of connection with yourself. And with that, also cultivating self-sovereignty. Communication and consent will be an important part, as well as learning about our desires, our wants, fantasy, imagination. So, how can we fill our erotic well in a way that's nourishing for us? So there will be one beautiful session on writing from our erotic body and exploring our erotic body through the creative. So your sexual voice connects for me with the theme of communication, you know. So few of us have learned to really express our desires, our needs, our sexual desires, and be explicit, you know, having the right words. Um, so yeah, so this will be a theme we'll be exploring as well as the realm of the big O, the big orgasm. There's so many thoughts and hang-ups around this. Um, we celebrate all orgasms here, including the pre-orgasms and orgasmic states. All pleasure is valid. But because this is such a big theme, we'll include that. And also energy, you know, energy really comes to play within sex. And of course, working with the senses. Yeah, so everything we experience through our senses. So to come to a place where we're slowing down and really looking and feeling into all our senses and how we can awaken our senses to pleasure will be a beautiful session. And as I said, knowledge is power. So one session will be also around genitals. A lot of us have experienced genital shame at some point in our lives. It's an area I feel so passionate about, to reclaim this, yeah, to integrate our genitals as part of who we are, you know. One of the beautiful things about being a sexological body worker is being insured for, being able to work also with genitals, you know, just as a part of the body and part of that can give us pleasure. I always say Eros loves play. So there will be playfulness in our sessions. And we will do one session on erotic archetypes. So, which is a beautiful way of connecting with what we might find in ourselves. Maybe it's the inner seductress, the seducer, maybe it's the submissive, the dominant, maybe it's a mythological figure you want to tap into. Can be a very beautiful way to reclaim and feel empowered. Could be working with the wild soul, finding expression. You know, how do you express your sexuality? What's your sexual creature? So I'm going to give you lots of prompts throughout the 12 weeks. And because I believe there's such a strong connection between creativity and sexuality, yeah, creativity will flow throughout the course. Of course, because we carry baggage around sex, and to release and shed what no longer serves us. So this could be when we look at myths that we've been holding, ideas that don't serve us anymore. And you get to decide what sex is for you at this moment in time. So these are some things that sex might be. Sex might just be cuddles, eye gazing, making out, talking dirty, role play, rope play. Excuse me. So I'd love us to take a little pause here. And I want to give you a prompt. So this is the moment for you to get your notebook or some pen and paper. And this is the quote I would love to offer you. Me just to take 3 minutes to put pen on paper and free write, like stream of consciousness write. And the prompt is, if there were no obstacles whatsoever, what would your sex life look like and feel like? If there were no obstacles whatsoever, what would your sex life look like and feel like? So let's just take 3 minutes. I keep the time. You like take another minute or so. And now I invite you to just gaze over what you've written and see whether there is a line or a word or a sentence that, yeah, really catches your eye. And if you find that, just circle it and write it on a fresh page. Great. And I'm gonna play one song now and invite you to just move to this song in whatever way you like. Maybe see whether you can take this one phrase or sentence or word as a starting point as you move into that. And then after that, I'll give you another little time to write. Is that okay? Cool. So, here's the song.
You were running blind, following your feet to try and outrun your fate. Standing in a field of flowers, cerebral voices the loudest, or hollering your name. Is it paradise? Only if it blows your mind and then blows away.
Sometimes you will, sometimes you deal, sometimes you have to rob and steal.
Call you a cinnamon, or call it second sight. Now they treat them all the same, and it's the thinnest line they hung you out by. You were holding my hands and say, hey, what if I only ever took what's mine? I wanted to tell them that if I could've led a different life, could've led a different life. But now I need somebody who could ease my mind, need somebody who could ease my mind. You know I could have led a different life, could have led a different life. Pulling me aside, giving me your last advice, and the whole house shakes, saying keep it in the family hide. Don't make the mistakes that I did, 'cause it'll weigh your soul away. And I would have tried if only it was black or white, but it's bullet gray.
Sometimes you will, sometimes you deal, sometimes you have to rob and steal.
Call you a cinnamon, call it second sight. Now they treat them all the same. It's the thinnest line to hang you by. Holding my hands and saying, you know I only ever took what's mine. I wanted to tell them that if I could've led a different life, could've led a different life. But now I need somebody who could ease my mind, need somebody who could ease my mind. You know I need the remedy to cure my vice, need the value to sleep at night.
So I invite you one more time to go to your journal or your pad and take another 2 minutes to free write from that. Whatever that might have loosened or brought up, just let it flow onto the page. Forgot to unmute myself. And when the screen is full, I couldn't find the button. So I'm just going to speak a little bit more about the course, and then there'll be this time for Q&A. So back to sex really starts with creating safety in the body, in the system, dropping into the present moment, which is the place where we can find our pleasure. We'll talk about the nervous system, understand it. So it's not just one session, but we'll find and different ways to self-regulate, to deal with anxiety, shame, give ourselves permission, cultivating a self-pleasure practice, moving. Moving will be again a practice throughout the 12 weeks. And so will be breath work, exploring through the senses. And for me, that's an important point we find and develop this embodied confidence as we embrace our bodies. And we do this in community through deep listening to the wisdom of the body. And one of the magic of this work is that with simple practices, when we do them, they go a very long way. So this could be breathing in a conscious way. And all the exercises can be adapted as well. So magic happens in community when we get together in a group and share. Because, for instance, shame, once it's spoken and shared, especially in a group, it can't really survive. So I see this as a beautiful cauldron here where we can learn from one another's experiences, where camaraderie and community is fostered. So practically, how does it work? What's it include? So we'll have 12 2-hour live sessions on Zoom. So they're 6:30 to 8:30 UK time. And within the sessions, there will be always exercises, teachings, sharing. The group will be a small group of 10 companions, which really gives you, that holding. There'll be recordings of all the sessions that you can access. So I work with a platform called Teachable. All the recordings are held there, and all the materials and recordings you can download. And then this is a very special extra bonus in this course. So you actually get 2 individual sessions with me. Ideally, you take one towards the beginning to really set yourself up for the course, and one during the course or up to a month after. So that's a really, powerful way to get both the working in the group, but also with me individually. There will always be suggestions for home play, lots of course material, and you'll get a beautiful guide and workbook. Not in one go, so I will titrate. I will give you everything, a session every week. You'll have lots of resources, access to a Facebook group, and that's a place where I show up to answer any questions, and where we can, throughout the week stay connected. It's an opportunity for an accountability buddy. You get some ebooks, and the fee is 888. Includes everything, includes the 2 sessions with me as well. And for participants of tonight, there's a special price if you decide within a day to come on the course, which will be 808. And you you can get that either if you pay in full or you pay a deposit of 222. And to make it really accessible, I do give up to 6 months of a payment plan, and I don't charge people more for that. So, if you want to come on the course, and you decide today and you pay a deposit, then, we lock that in and talk about a payment plan. So, so I really hope it's woken interest, and maybe you might want to join on the course. It will be a real, I call it an adventure. I know that course like that be really life changing. To do this in a group of beautiful beings is just amazing. And it's a lovely group that's coming together. So, yeah, beautiful. I'm going to stop recording. Just to say, if you have any questions, email me. It's info@evaweaver.com. Say my website is evaweaver.com.